The Last of Us Part 2 is a fucking thing and a half, we'll say. I've avoided a lot of the criticism. I honestly don't know what the criticisms of this game are. Right now, my position is it is one of the best things I've ever seen played in my life. It's definitely the best thing I've ever played. It's. I was talking about this with chat. We are live on Twitch, as I have to remind everybody. Whenever we do an unscripted video, we're always live on Twitch. You can come and be in Twitch chat. They're all nice. No, they're not. But you can be over here, and then we would have more nice people if you're nice. But I guess you might not be. My position. I was talking about this with Chad earlier, where we were talking about like our favorite things of all time, and The Last of Us is definitely in the top 10 list of that. I'm not sure how high up it is. I only finished the game like 6 hours ago, so I am on a red hot streak of like, this is all I can think about. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Maybe it'll calm down a little bit as we progress here in the coming days. But this is just going to be a not Abby did nothing wrong, Minty is spamming instead of Gabby did nothing wrong for our Attack on Titan fans in the audience. I'm sure they'll be spamming a bunch of bullshit. Is it about to be the most disliked video on your channel? Definitely not. That Vinland Saga video will never be topped. Don't buy the game, Naughty Dog doesn't support its workers. Gotta get that ad revenue, you know what I'm saying, definitely. But don't buy the game, pirate it. That's the only genuine criticism I've ever heard. Well, never mind. So we're here. I love the game. You're probably mad about that. How do people not like it? It's so fucking... It's like unbelievably great. Like the best thing I've ever seen in my life. Great. We've been talking about it with chat for like the last hour, so I don't know what to reiterate on. I don't know where to start. Besides just saying how... I honestly hate the word perfect. But, like, what do I criticize? I was talking about this with chat earlier, too. I got clipped on a wall a few times. That was annoying. I was, like, idle for them. Sometimes I pressed triangle to pick shit up, and it wouldn't work, and Abby or Ellie would, like, idle for a little bit. That was a little weird. Those are the only things that I found wrong with it. When I lost, I got really mad and beat the shit out of my controller. I get mad. That's not the game's fault. I don't know, honestly. A single criticism I can levy at this game, which is insane, because I'm a fucking nitpicking bastard. I can find shit to complain about in anything. Look at the videos over here. But I like to try and ignore chat a little bit when I'm recording for YouTube, but let's just see what they're saying. Here, Entertainment Nation's based analytical theme and controversy piece, but 30 seconds of the video just reads chat for the rest of the video. Alright, no chat. Minty's fucked it up for everybody. I wonder if the YouTube audience is starting to recognize the like the chatters in chat and starting to get opinions on them and see them in even the YouTube comments sometimes. But this is actually going to be a companion piece because I am going to write something about this video. And so in my head, this is going to be an hour and a half Last of Us 2 analysis. Mostly about the response. After I dive into the response, we can use this as a great opportunity. Leave a comment, all right? I always read every comment. If you ever have anything to say about anything I've ever said, I probably want to talk about it more. So if you ask about it in the comments, I will respond and explain a position further or something like that. I will always respond, even to the mean ones. I like fucking with them. Every comment, I'm not going to respond to every comment if it's some dumb fucking comment that's not even worth getting mad at. But, like, leave a comment. I'm not going to get mad at anybody for leaving a comment. So if you're at all trepidatious about leaving a comment, leave a comment. I want to know everybody's thoughts about this game, what they liked and what they didn't like. Put your own little fucking review in the comments. I need to know what people don't like about this game so I can try and alleviate it in my mind. Like, what people don't like. I feel like I have a general idea, but what do people that don't hate women not like about the game? Besides the fact that Joel dies. Spoilers for everything. I don't know why you'd be here. And I don't know how you would have avoided that spoiler. But, like, besides that, and hating women, and I guess trans people, well, I just don't understand. It's like, it builds on everything from the first game. Narratively, it might be perfect. The structure of this game is unbelievable. How... It does what Attack on Titan is trying to do so much better, and it's getting the same criticisms. Gabby and Abby are getting the same criticisms from fucking idiots that just can't get it, who are just like, Gabby killed Sasha. Fucking Abby killed Joel. I just can't get over it. without like removing themselves and their own perspective from a situation that's entirely about perspective. And it's just like, I don't know how you could so blatantly miss the theme. I guess people don't like Abby, which I guess I can't blame them for. I did a lot. By the end of the game, I liked Abby way more than I liked Ellie. When did I realize that? Was it in the final fight? I feel like I did before that. When I got to the theater the second time, was I rooting? Because you have to play as Abby the second time, and Ellie becomes the boss, and you have to fight Ellie and sneak up on her, and she was fucking putting the bombs down that you've been using all game, using all your tricks against you. Fucking great, like, little twist on the gameplay there. I think I was probably more on Abby's side by that point. But, like, no, because I remember when I second time got to the theater scene, like, when I thought Tommy was dead, I was mad. And also Lev being there was, like, weird. I don't think they show that in the first time you see the theater scene. I didn't even talk about this with chat earlier, and this is a weird place to jump in, but when Abby is, like, smashing Dina's skull into the fucking thing, and you're like, holy shit, Dina's gonna die too. Holy fuck. Oh, and how about the moment where Ellie tries to reason with fucking Abby and goes like, she's pregnant, and she goes good, and is like, revenge is sweet, and goes to cut the throat, but Lev stops her. And that's a whole great thing we'll get into, and how Abby and Lev are parallels to Joel and Ellie from the last game, and why it works so well in every fucking area. But like, just so many great moments. I cannot comprehend how people that have played the game don't like it. I thought about this a lot, and I also said this in chat earlier to well, never mind then. I said that this game doesn't work on paper. It looks incredibly generic on paper. So if you saw the spoilers and just saw them as like a dot point, I would understand why you like went in with a negative mindset. But the way this story is told is the best I've ever seen nearly any story told in my life. Like, just something I've learned to love very recently is story structure. I've started to understand how to properly analyze this. With One Piece, which I've been going through very recently. I'm still on Drum Island, sad times. Come over to the Twitch stream if you want little updates on our One Piece adventure. I've got to explain 3 different things about the video. I didn't end up explaining the entire point there. But like how those arcs are structured now, everything ties in One Piece. Like each individual arc is like the most tightly written thing you've ever fucking seen in your life, and is perfect, is impeccable. The Netflix show You that I watched recently, that everyone in chat was making fun of me for watching, there are certain episodes in that where it's immaculate in fucking story structure. I remember the episode where Joe, that's his name, and he first goes to the therapist and is trying to figure out if the therapist is having sex with his girlfriend. And obviously he's a big stalker thing, that's a conceit of the show. But that episode was like not knowing what everybody knows and not knowing what the truth and if they were actually cheating. And like how that was structured and how it comes back. And there's this shot where Joe grabs a knife, but you don't know if it's Joel or the therapist getting the knife, if the therapist knows that Joe is onto him. And it's just like how this is structured builds up perfectly into this moment. And this is just something I hadn't analyzed. I don't think, or I hadn't grown a palette to analyze properly until very recently. Also, on a recent Evangelion rewatch we did, it was very evident sort of how it was structured. But this game is the quintessential example of this. Now, the conceit isn't, again, original. On paper, it doesn't work as well. You tell a 3-day story from one character's perspective, and then you go back to the beginning and tell it from this character's perspective, and they lean into each other. But you can tell that this script was so tightly written and so streamlined that everything plays into each other. Like when you're first playing as Ellie, those first 3 days, you hear whispers of like where Abby is, and you're like, she's hiding out in the aquarium, and you're like, did Abby? I'm gonna say Gabby and Abby interchangeably and fuck it up. I'm sorry. And you're like, where the fuck? Like something's happened with Abby, and she's like alone and separated from the wolves. And you're like, I wonder what the fuck, did she have a falling out? Did they not want them to go to Jackson, and was Isaac the leader mad? We'll talk about his fucking ungodly performance later. And you hear whispers, and you kill certain characters that are sort of notable, like the girl who's playing like the PS Vita, and the dog in the fucking aquarium, and like you later come to know these characters, and Nora and other characters like that, obviously Owen and Mel, much more. And then later, like the recontextualization of if you play this game a second time, it's going to be unbelievable picking up on all those things that are little like lines of details mentioned by soldiers that you're about to kill about like, oh, that's when that was happening and this is when this was happening. Just like recontextualization, things like that, where like the second playthrough is going to be just as rewarding as just as interesting as the first one. It's just so fucking well written, and like how well you must know your own story and how well you must have got, how many times you must have gone over your own story to do this. Like the streamlining writing process is perfect. It's fucking perfect. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like, But I have to explain what this video is going to be. So this video is probably going to be called Last of Us Part 2, Initial Thoughts, I Loved It or something. I'm going to have some clickbait about me liking it in there to rack up them views. But I am working on a big scripted video. I'm pretty sure I didn't explain this. And it's going to be fucking long as fuck. I think maybe I began explaining this. And that's going to be the main video on it, where I'm going to reiterate these points. Maybe I'll play through it a second time. Most likely I'll just watch someone play through it a second time. And maybe like watch a let's play of someone who didn't like it and try and analyze what they did and didn't like. And sort of incorporate the criticism, try to counter some widespread criticism. That's also why I want to get all the comments of like people who didn't like the game and people who did like the game, and like explaining what they did and didn't like about it, so I can sort of evaluate and like counter some of the criticisms, because I will defend this game to my fucking death. Because goddamn, if the last 5 hours of me just thinking about everything in this game and how well it works and how I'm going to record this video and everything I'm going to say on stream about this game is fucking, it's just, the passion is there right now, and if I could bottle it and put it into the fucking 3 months it's going to take to make this video, I can't wait. Let's check Metacritic real quick, because it did get review bombed, like, because people were mad before the game even came out. Let me just put Last of Us Part 2. Is it still like a 40? Because I know all the critics liked it, but no one else liked it. Is it starting to come up? Yeah, it is. I remember it being at a 3. Now it's at a 4.1. So people are gradually finishing the game and actually giving proper reviews. Let's read some reviews. Fuck it. This is just an initial thoughts weird video. Always trust the critics over the general people. If there's one thing we've learned about this, if there's one thing I've learned recently in my life, it's to respect institutions. Institutions didn't just pop up from the ground. IGN didn't just pull its finger out of its ass and suddenly it was like the most popular video game fucking website in the world. The people who work at IGN know what the fuck they're talking about. There's a tendency on the internet especially to dislike sort of these established figures. You even see this in very political things. I'll try not to get too political here. But like people's distrust of the mainstream media and like thinking that like the New York Times or something is bad is just the dumbest shit in the fucking world. It's some real like childish bullshit. And I feel like this happens a lot with games media. That's like a buzzword for people to make YouTube videos about how they hate the games media and how games media is ruining gaming or some fucking bullshit. This over here, because these people are all going to accuse these people of getting paid off and pushing an agenda when this is the agenda people right here who are like, get these lesbians out of our games, bro. I'm pretty sure that's what most of the criticism is about. Also, Joel died, bro, and I'm very mad. I think IGN gave it a 9, right? Or was it Easy Allies that gave it a 9? Wait, is this a critic review? Graphics 10 out of 10, console notes 10 out of 10, strong women 10 out of 10, gameplay 7 out of 10, game 0 out of 10. Thanks to the last hour. The rest of the game basically trash. Is this a viewer review or is it... No, these are user reviews. There we go. So this is some great fucking complaints here. Characters do not behave logically. It was very cringy in a few moments. And also the game drops to 15 to 20 frames often, which is not acceptable in the current year. Well, that's a fucking genius opinion if ever I've seen one. I want to talk about the intentionally cringy moments. Fuck the word cringy, I hate it. There are very intentionally corny moments, especially with the relationship stuff. And I feel like I've made this criticism vaguely about Attack on Titan sometimes. Not about Attack on Titan, but about people who talk about Attack on Titan and don't seem to understand it. And I don't like to call people virgins. It's not bad to be a virgin, first of all, we should say that. You will lose it eventually. But like... when you're in a romantic situation, of course it's going to be corny. Like, if you want to ground this in any sort of realism, like, Abby and Owen hanging out is going to be a little cringy. and they're going to say weird inside cute things to each other that you're not going to understand as an outsider looking in. And obviously, if you give it like, if you understand this and you understand what a romantic situation is like, you're like, oh yeah, we get this is cute. But I guess gamer bros on the internet, probably not getting a lot of women, probably never been in romantic situations. So they're like, oh, pretty cringe, bro. Then they kissed. What the fuck? I've seen a lot of people mad about the sex scene with Owen and Abby, which I think is pretty great characterization for Abby, that she likes, like, she's this very hulking figure, but she's also very submissive when it comes to sex, and like Owen's clearly like the crazy one in their relationship, and she's more like the straight man. Like that's like perfect characterization for a character that's presents so strong but is actually so weak, and sort of the juxtaposition going on there. But everyone just wants to make a meme about it because you saw the girl with small boobs as boobs. I don't know. Some bullshit. Disgusting story cannot be saved by nice visuals. I used to play The Last of Us a lot. It's just a shame and a lost opportunity. Well, that's fucking 34,000. Hold on, let me see. Culture Ventures. This is an actual critical review. In trying to subvert expectations, The Last of Us Part 2 discards the best aspects of its predecessor to provide a rot revenge tale that's ill-considered ending on a note that makes everything, all the violence, all the loss, all the struggle, feel entirely, hopelessly pointless. How did you get to the end and think this? I don't understand, but at least it's like worded well, and you can respect it. Is this gonna fuck up the stream and the lag and shit like that? I just looked down at chat and I saw, well, never mind, then say almost every critic is paid. Not a single critic can be paid, because that would be disastrous. Someone could leak that and they're over in an instance. The actual criticism to levy would be that these in-groups have so many incestual relationships with each other, that so many gaming industry people work with gaming media people and probably started in the games media, and therefore they're friends, and therefore because of their friendly relationship they're more likely to give positive reviews. That would be the much better fucking argument there. No one is getting paid physical money to, like, from a big studio like Naughty Dog to review their game positively. Firstly, they don't need to. The critics were always going to love this game because it's good and critics know what they're talking about. And two, they would just say, like, well, you don't get to, like, the implication could just be like, oh, well, you're not going to get our games early if you start giving us shitty reviews, which doesn't happen because just the assumption of corruption is so lazy in, like, everybody's mindset about everything. Thinking that all politicians are corrupt and, like, all games media and all mainstream media is corrupt is so fucking stupid. Like, you are politics. You are the gaming media. You are the gaming industry. Like, they're just people with biases that could come out fraudulently and could not. Like, just assuming, like, well, they all got paid and that's why I disagree with them and they're not parroting my opinion. It's so fucking stupid. It breaks my heart to write this, but I really don't expect such a poor story after all these years. While there's a few generally good moments, the majority of the game is filled with plot holes. Are we going to get a single example? I don't think so. It just took elements of what worked in the first game without understanding and what made them compelling. It seems like the game has done by another studio, but it's not. The basic gameplay has stayed the same. This is not even close to true. Environmental puzzles are almost gone. Why? Because you don't put the ladder up anymore? There were so many. Oh, the cool fucking shit with the rope, where you have to break the glass in weird ways and to get to, like, the not the vents, the vaults. Yeah, that's what they're called. Like that one where there was one where I was there for like 10 minutes trying to figure it out, that you had to break the glass up and then throw the fucking rope over. That shit was great. I was still playing as Ellie at that point, and it was like outside a window, and you had to get to the window that was like parallel to it. Some good shit. So remove the story from the table, and you're left with shallow gameplay that will leave you looking for some other game. Why are these all so short? I guess these ones are long. My disappointment is immeasurable. My day is ruined. I waited 5 years to play this, and they gave me a horrible intro and a shit ending. So we didn't kill Abby, that's the shit ending, and we killed Joel, that's the horrible intro. I just want to forget about this game. This is not going anywhere. I'll read the comments later to get better criticism, I think. Hold on, well, never mind that it's going off. I don't want to scroll up and read the read all of the fucking things to get distracted from chat. Let's talk about something that's great from this game. We'll talk about the Joel death scene and why it's fucking perfect and so fucking great. So, most people knew Joel was going to die coming into this. And I had heard rumors. The only spoiler I had gotten was that Dina killed Joel. This turned out to not be true, and I wasn't even sure if Joel did die. I didn't think Joel would die this early because there is that scene in one of the trailers where Joel is in a later area that just doesn't appear in the game. Naughty Dog does this all the time where they show like fake shit in trailers to put people off. It's fucking great. I love it. But they're lying. False advertisement. Shut the fuck up, maggot. But the scene works out where you're like helping Abby and you don't know who the fuck Abby is. You just start playing as her at some point. I thought it was cool. I've seen a lot of people get mad like immediately when their perspective shifts from Ellie to Abby for the first time. I thought it was fine. I was like interested and I wanted to know who. I was actually confused the first time because I thought it was like cutting from Dina and Ellie sleeping and like panning over, and I thought like Abby and Owen were like part of their traveling group, but it was just a different group of people. Obviously they were the wolves. So you're playing as them, and then eventually you get cornered as Abby, because Abby goes off. There's a great introductory scene with Abby where she's fighting with Owen, and Owen talks about getting Mel pregnant, and Abby's not happy about this. It teases that they used to have a relationship in the past, which will be explored in great depth later on. And basically, there's some... The performances are still... They're probably better in this game than they were in the first game. There's not a mighty thin ice line that I remember being as good as that line from this game, but I didn't think that line was the best the first time I heard it, so when I go back and I listen to and watch some of these scenes again, we'll see what my favourite line is. The "You are my people" line with Abby and Lev later on is so fucking good. That actually might be just as good or even better than the thin ice line. God. The whole Lev part is fucking perfect. It's so good. So anyway... So then Abby gets cornered and Joel and Tommy come and save them. And the acting and the attention to detail in the writing is so perfect here, because Abby walks in and everyone's like, "Where have you been?" And obviously she's got two strangers with them in their lodging. And she like basically looks at Owen or something, or one of the other people, I can't remember because we didn't know their names at this point. And he's like, "You wouldn't fucking believe what just happened." And like the subtle acting between her and everybody else to like, "Holy shit, you're not going to believe this." Like the expression in her eyes and the few short lines she has of like to them of like, "You wouldn't believe where I've been," or whatever the fuck. And then Tommy's like, "I'm Tommy and this is my brother." And then Joel says it because he's like, "Yeah, I'm Joel." And just the tension in the room of like everybody looking around and being like, "Holy fucking shit, the luck we've had." And then Joel even points out like the tension is like, "You act like you know me" or something. And then fucking Abby shoots him in the knee. And it's deep. And initially I'm like, oh, he'll survive, right? Because Naughty Dog knows this. They're playing with expectations here. They know that if you shoot a character in the leg, there's a possibility they're going to survive, right? If a character gets shot in the leg, I don't know, they'll need a bandage for a few days. They'll be right. So I'm like, oh, they're not going to kill Joel, at least yet. And they are fucking with your expectations here. But then they show it for a brief second before they cut back to Ellie, and it's fucked up. His knee is gone. He can't use this leg anymore. It's like, okay, Joel loses a leg and has to limp around or something, and Ellie's got to like help him out as they go through the journey in Seattle, because we had seen in the trailers that Joel ends up in Seattle somehow. And then we cut away, and then we come back as Ellie, and she like breaks in because Jesse shows up and says like, fucking Joel didn't come back or whatever. And Ellie runs out, and then Ellie comes back in, and Abby's been beating the shit out of him and torturing him the whole time while you've been getting there. And then eventually they like, Ellie's shit at fucking saving him, and she gets captured, and then they do the actual death scene where the fucking acting from Ashley Johnson there as Ellie was fucking perfect. And Joel's death scene, it's not like a weak death scene. It's like the perfect Joel death. Like after he gets shot, like he's groaning, but he's not like screaming out in pain. Ellie actually has like a dream sequence later on where she imagines him screaming out in pain, which actually didn't happen originally. He's like grunting every time he gets hit, but he's not like screaming or begging for his life or looking like a pussy or something. It's still like the same brooding Joel we've known the whole time, who probably knew in the back of the mind that like something was going to catch up to him eventually and this was going to happen. And then And the moment, like, he gets shot in the leg, I think this is before we cut away back to Ellie, and he's like, if you got some fucking speech, you little girl, to, like, say to me before you finish it, like, get it out now and then get it over with. Like, what a great last Joel line. Like, I can't be mad at the death scene after, like, that line, where they're so true to his character up until the end, and he doesn't show, like, he doesn't cry out in like, it's save me or spare me or something. He doesn't say anything to Ellie, even though he sort of sees her, even though he probably can't speak by the time Ellie gets there. And then the club to the head is still good. It's so visceral. I said on Twitter that it was the second most visceral, like, sad reaction I've ever had to anything in, like, a story, because of how, like, violent it was. Only second to the Casca scene in the Eclipse. I will leave it vague in case there's people who want to get into Berserk eventually. I still think about that scene every fucking day, and it depresses me. The Joel stuff doesn't even depress me 5 days after. But that I was playing that when it first came out, so I played it like the second it came out in Australia. So it was like 4:30 in the morning when I saw the fucking Joel death scene, and then trying to go to sleep after that, not because it was traumatizing, but just because of thinking about it. Because the whole time it was happening, of course I was grinning. I was like, holy fucking shit, these Naughty Dog pricks did it. They're fucking geniuses. I love them. The balls they had to kill Joel off this early and have this character do it, a character we played as, and like, the concept of using these two different perspectives of a similar event and, like, playing as a character you hate is something that immediately interests me. It takes thought, so a lot of people didn't like it. Playing as somebody you don't like, unimaginable to these people. I don't know. A bunch of fucking idiots. But yeah, the Joel scene I thought was fucking perfect. At the beginning, as I was thinking about the scripted video I wanted to make, because I wasn't initially going to do an unscripted one, but then I was like, I have to get some thoughts out there on YouTube, especially to hold the viewers over, because there's not going to be many videos in the near future. But for the scripted video, one of the opening scene with Joel and Ellie, it's not the very opening scene, but the first scene we get of them two, which is 4 years later, right after the end of the last game. Ellie's got, like, her own room and stuff, and Joel comes in with the guitar. Like, that scene is so perfect, and there's so many layers to that scene. Like, you cannot tell me the writing is bad in this game. It's so perfect, because there's got the dad joke, like, line through it where he mentions the clock joke and doesn't get to it until the end, and it sort of reminds them of this playful, like, relationship they used to have, even though that relationship is going to be, like, destroyed, and then wiped out, obviously, because Joel dies. And the run through of the guitar motif that's throughout the game, that's fucking excellent. The song, If I Were to Lose You and all that stuff, that's all fucking great. Just like the acting there of Joel being like the weird parent who's trying to relate to the kid's sort of not having it, because obviously it works in two ways, because Ellie's still, like, concerned about whether or not he's lying or telling the truth to her, and then also she's a teenager, right, and this is just how teenagers tend to be, and sort of everything that's working in that scene is, like, so perfect for the characterization, and just, like, it's so well written in the way the clock comes back at the end, and Ellie laughs, and she sort of gives him a mile. Like, she's not entirely being like, go away, old man, but she's not entirely being like, loving, you're my dad, I love you stuff. It's like in between there, where she's showing a little bit of both of those things, because she's unsure how she feels about Joel, and that sort of complexity, and the fact that we don't realize until the very end that they hadn't spoken to each other the whole last 2 years of knowing each other, and they were starting to rekindle the relationship right as Joel gets killed, and the fact that that only further enhances, like, the hatred and the regret in Ellie is so perfect. The scene after Joel dies, where you're walking through his house, and, like, if you idle, like, the animation is for Ellie to, like, cry and brush away her tears. Like, all of that is great. Standing at the fucking grave with Dina, it's all just so good. They just, like, they respect Joel so much in this game. Not only does he come back continuously throughout the game through flashbacks and dream sequences, and every way you can shoehorn a dead character in. Like, at the beginning of the game, it says starring, and it says Ashley Johnson, Troy Baker, and Laura Bailey. So Abby, Joel, and Ellie. So it's not like they fucked up Joel and, like, threw him out. It's like he's in the entire game. I guess you're just mad because he's dead or something? Like, what the fuck? Remember when we all got mad that Ned Stark died? Oh, wait, that's when we all started watching it. Fuck me. There's another thing. Joel being a bad dad is, like, a reoccurring theme, because another genius thing about this game is how Abby and Ellie's stories completely parallel each other in, like, every conceivable way that the writers could think of, and it's so well planned out and so well done. it's fucking unbelievable. Obviously, the love triangle with the pregnant woman in both sides, and they're like the third wheel on it. Obviously, it's Owen, Mel, and Abby on one side, where Abby is into Owen, and Owen's secretly into Abby more. But he got Mel pregnant, and they've sort of been seeing each other for 2 years, so it's like a complicated thing there. But the subtlety and the not subtlety is another thing that's great about this game. About how like it hits you with the theme, but it doesn't like over the head with the theme, but it doesn't hit you over the head with the implication from the characters. This works in the other love triangle the most, with the biggest detail I can think of, where it's Jesse, Dina, and Ellie. In sort of the way where you don't really like Mel, or maybe some people do, but like you're clearly rooting for Abby and Owen to get together. But in the other one, it's sort of more complicated because Jesse's immediate introduction at the beginning of the game is great. It immediately makes him likable, where he's like sort of fucking with Ellie, and they're having like a friendly little like quippy back and forth. Like it immediately makes him likable. And so, like, more likable than Mel ever is. So it's like a three-way, like, love triangle sort of thing that's never made a love triangle. But it works so well because you like all three of them and you don't sort of want to choose one. Though you're definitely rooting for Ellie and Dina to like hook up, because the introduction of Dina is also so great, where she's fucking around with the kids and like just being like motherly to them, and like more the older sister type, which also plays in thematically. I'm just realizing because she talks about her older sister all the time. That's another thing that's going to make the reactionaries mad. Our girlfriend is Jewish, and we do go to a synagogue in this game. I'm sure they're mad about the Jewish conspiracy or whatever the fuck in their video games. But yeah, that's the whole thing. But the Joel being a bad dad thing, the parallel here, that was just one of the parts where they're parallel. They're both in love triangles where someone else is pregnant. Also, the scene where Ellie gets jealous of Dina when Jesse shows back up and she's clearly showing him affection and she like walks off. Again, like they never like have a big fight about, oh, you chose him over me. They never make the love triangle blatant, but it's like, oh, obviously she's insecure and she's running away and she's like mad about it. But that's like all the explanation we get, because Jesse dies soon after that, and they really don't get any scenes discussing it. Like it's so perfect in the way like, oh, the love triangle is developing, but we're never going to mention it. Like it's just something for you to think about. It's like you got to think about a lot of shit here to make it worthwhile. But the bad dad thing I'm getting back to is because there's dual flashbacks with Abby and her dad, and then not Joel and her dad, but Ellie and Joel, who they have the father-daughter relationship. And there's one thing where Abby's dad correctly identifies that Abby and Owen are dating, and they're into each other. Whereas Joel thinks that Ellie is into Jesse because they hang out a bit, which completely blows in the fact that Ellie is not into dudes. She's a lesbian, and Joel just doesn't like realize that. And it's not until the very last scene they ever get together, where they start to like recompense at the end of the game, that Joel realizes that Ellie is gay, and he's not like mad about it. There's an earlier character, Seth, I think his name was, who like calls Ellie a dyke, I think. Or no, he's calling Dina a dyke, saying we don't need another loudmouth dyke. In Jackson or whatever the fuck. And that's like a big thing at the beginning of the game. Get your politics out of my game, bro. So yeah, it's like a little things like, oh, Abby actually had a proper relationship with her actual father that was loving, whereas Joel and Ellie's relationship is sort of built on this lie. And like this false, like I'm going to project my dead daughter onto you sort of thing. And it's sort of like a way, like we like the Joel and Ellie relationship a lot more, obviously, because we get more of it and we're more accustomed to it and we're more accustomed to their perspective. So it's like, it's funny that the one we like and we think is stronger is actually like, Joel doesn't actually know what the fuck's going on with Ellie, whereas Abby's father actually does know what's going on with her. And like these dual scenes and like everything is parallel, like between these two characters. There's a million other ways they're fucking paralleled. What else do we talk about? There's a million things to get into. Let's talk about Lev, the trans character that everyone's about. It might be the best portrayal of a trans character I've ever seen. Now, I haven't seen many. I literally think this might be the only one besides Steins Gate, which does a terrible job. I'm trying to think if there's another character that's trans in anything I've ever seen. So I guess it's by default the best, but I thought they handled it very well. Now, the keep your politics out of my games people, like, it's so subtle. I talked about this earlier with Chad as well. It's handled similarly to the way Bill being gay in the first game is handled, where it's like never said, like Bill never says, "Hey guys, I'm gay," and then fucking and then we make a big point about how we're very much we like gay people. Joel's really awkward about it, and we don't know if Joel likes gay people. This sort of comes back with the lesbian thing with Ellie. Like, it's not like the agenda thing. It's like the only agenda piece here is representation. There's a trans character in a game. The fucking humanity. What are we gonna do? Fucking, I hate these people. But like, you don't find out. Like, you wouldn't have known. Like, you just assume that it's a little boy because it looks like a little boy. And that's what the sister is calling it. Yara is calling Lev. And then it's not until the Seraphites show up where they're like, oh, what the fuck is Lily doing here? Where Abby realizes, and we realize, in case you didn't know already, though I did know already, that this character is trans. Like, why are they calling the little boy Lev Lily? And then it's like, and they never say it outright. They just like imply it, and you have to figure it out for yourself. Like, how is this like pushing an agenda on you when it's so subtle and like so like you're gonna get it if you know these things, but it's not like it's beating you over the head. It's like trans pride, which it has. It could if it wanted to, and it would be good to do that. But they don't. Like, what are you complaining about besides the fact that you heard in a Twitter headline that there was a trans character in the game and you got mad about it because you don't like trans people? Like, I don't see how this could possibly be a criticism. It's so fucking stupid. But the way it's all handled and the fact that Lev has to kill their mother is fucking weird. Is fucked up. It's really tragic. But Lev becomes Abby's Ellie, which I think is a great parallel. And Abby being a parallel to Joel is another fucking layer here that's great. She plays a lot more like Joel. She uses a lot more similar weapons to Joel with the flamethrower and the actual shotgun and all things like that. She's way more powerful than Ellie. We see that later when she beats the fuck out of Ellie in the theater. She just leaves them both there bleeding to death and walks the fuck away with Lev. It's pretty great. Abby beats the fuck out of fucking dumb fuck Ellie. Where are we going with this? Oh, Lev being a great character. Like, he's so lovable. Like, how could you dislike this character? Like, I just don't understand how people could dislike this. Like, Yara doesn't get much characterization, and she just, like, dies. She does kill Isaac, which is fucking incredible. And we get this... I don't know. That's probably all. Like, Lev gets to also be the like the fish out of water situation where she doesn't entirely understand like social situations because the scars really don't. I got distracted by what's on screen. Like, she gets to be like the fish out of water situation where she doesn't entirely understand, and like her and Abby bond as they have to go over these massive sky bridges and shit up in high in fucking skyscraper buildings, and Abby's deathly afraid of heights. This is something that's established at the beginning. Owen even says in the first scene, like, this is a way for you to work through your fears, and Abby gets over her fear of heights, and fucking both of the brother and the sister both get over, Yara and Lev both get over their fear of dogs, obviously, because the wolves use the dogs to hunt the scars, and it all makes sense. And also the religion angle isn't handled, like, as atheist as it could have been. Like, Lev and Yara still, like, believe in the religion, even though they, like, disagree with how it's being used. This fucking, Lev's great, that's all we have to say there. This Isaac character, the performance here is fucking impeccable. Our boy Manny there. If we can cut to this scene. There's a dick on screen. We can skip to here. If we just play this scene, the charisma from this motherfucker here is palpable. It's unbelievable. This might be the performance of the game, and he has 10 lines. Oh, Joel deserved better. A failure in storytelling. Oh, I should watch that video.
Some minor injuries. Can't say the same for them.
Wish I was hearing more of that.
Oh, the way he talks is fucking ASMR in my fucking ear. This fucking charisma is
Give it another day.
unbelievable.
Still waiting on some units.
What's going on, boss?
The fear, but the respect and like the non-cruelty is like I don't know. This performance was really great.
Skirmishes. Can't keep going like this.
Then, what?
Try another truce.
The fact that he brings that up first is so much like legwork for his characterization. Like, he's not entirely opposed to a truce, he just doesn't think it's going to work, and he's going to end it some way. So if that means we have to kill them all, then we'll kill them all.
How long before some asshole on their side or our side unravels the whole thing?
He finds his own side, like, possibly problematic. So much thought goes into this characterization here. It's so good.
It has to be all of them.
Sir, we'll try attacking their island.
Not like this. Not with everyone. There's a big storm a few days out. We're gonna use it to mask our approach. You two are gonna lead the first wave. Pick your squads, start prepping.
I want Owen.
She thinks she's being so subtle, but he sees right through it. So good.
Who talked, Nora?
They're fucked immediately.
No secrets between the Salt Lake crew, huh?
Listen to that fucking
Sound okay?
voice.
As far as I know.
I think that gets the point across. Well, the actual introduction of this character is he's torturing a dude naked. So maybe that has a lot to do with the charisma, but goddamn, I love that performance. Let's go through the tweets, because I tweeted a bunch of bullshit. I like Abby more than Ellie now. I tweeted that right as I finished it. True. You know the euphoria you get for the brief moments after you finish something truly great, and it's hard to readjust back to reality. Tweeting and going on Twitter helps with that. That's a different conversation. I beat it. We will stream tonight. It's good to be back. I love Abby. True. We're not talking about wrestling right now. This is the best revenge cycle of hatred depiction I've ever seen, and I think it's even better than Attack on Titan. Berserk's more of a healing than cycle of hatred thing. I had to make sure to reason myself out of it being better than Berserk. I stand by this entirely. It did it in 5 hours. This is how long it says it should finish. It took me about 30 hours to finish the game. Like, the way it so perfectly illustrates the perspective shift and how both sides hate each other for mutual reasons, and how they're both so understandable and so, like, sympathetic and likable, and also not likable at all. So good. Everything about this fucking game is perfect. I should be able to stream tomorrow because I should be finished the game by then. True. That's the New Japan Cup stuff. While editing, that's not related to the game. I just saw the first scene I didn't like from the game. I thought this scene... Who responded to this tweet? Oh, come on, which one? Well, never mind, that was muted. The first scene I didn't like was... I actually like it a lot now, was when Ellie finds out, well, Joel admits that they were going to make a vaccine, and that he saved her. I thought... am I saying Gabby? I thought Ellie, reacted too swiftly to being, in tears. But I realized that was the point, is Ellie is looking for some sort of purpose in her life, and this is actually something that comes up later, where she said if she had died then, she says she was meant to die then, and that her life would have had meaning if she had died to make a cure. But obviously Joel made the selfish decision, is I'm not losing a second fucking daughter to this shit, fuck all of you. And we all related to that decision at the time. It's still perfect. You still should have saved Ellie at the end of the last game, no matter what anyone says. You want to save this world? Fuck that shit. But yeah, her immediately going to tears and then never speaking to him again. I was like, I don't know about this story choice, but I liked it a lot. Someone's following. Fuck. Yanis 937. Well, I'm not reading chat right now, but I'm sure he's in chat, or I'm sure he's about to advertise something. So he or she, I don't know. Me talking about End of Ava being perfect, I don't know what that was about. Also, I haven't finished the game by the time stream. Well, we were way off then. Last of Us 2 is the most fun I've ever had with a game. I've been tweeting as much. I haven't been tweeting as much as the beginning, but it's unbelievable, and no game has ever taken over my life like this before, where even when I'm sleeping, it's constantly on the mind. True, fucking unbelievable. What else can we say? This isn't really giving me much to talk about. Evangelion video is close to being done. The rare moments, I'm not playing The Last of Us 2. Or watching football, I actually like. Yes. The open world sections inspired by Lost Legacy are going to be interesting, liking it so far. There was only one area like that in the game, which was interesting. I thought it was going to come back and like you had a different open world area every day to like go through. But like going into the bank at the beginning, basically in Uncharted Lost Legacy, we should back up a little bit first. There are these open world sections where you're supposed to like that whole game, like the beginning part is open world, where you're supposed to go. You got to go to these 4 points on the map, but there's a bunch of little camps in between. And it's sort of like Uncharted experimenting, Naughty Dog experimenting with sort of this open world, but not really formula. And they do this when you first get to Seattle, where you're just looking around, and you have to go to these 2 points particularly, but you can go and do a bunch of little side quests. I did all the side quests. I got the fucking trophy to prove it. That shit was fun as fuck. Just exploring around, going through shit, getting supplies and stuff in these games is always so fun. After the first night, I did have a One Piece dream that was cool. I had a dream that Usopp lived next door, and he was sad. His dad was dead, just like Ellie. It was literally Ellie's storyline, but it was Usopp instead of Ellie in real life. And Usopp was also my neighbor. I was also going to cheer him up, but I woke up before I could. This is true. I was like so excited to go and talk to Usopp. But I woke up before I could. Also, my cat was captured by spiders. This was true too. There was like spiders everywhere, like outside my house, and that I couldn't leave. And they like were holding my cat hostage. And I had to save the cat before going to see Usopp, but I never got to do either. Sad day for the cat. What a weird dream that was. I just couldn't. I was just like, even when I'm sleeping, I'm thinking about this game. This would have been just after I'd seen Joel die. Conclusion, One Piece, and Last of Us Part 2 are on the brain. I've got a game to play, yes. I'm trying to sleep, but I have a blistering headache, so I can't stop thinking about Last of Us 2. Literally traumatic. That fucking death seems so perfect. Ugh. Imagine getting mad at the game instead of giving the emotion to the game to manipulate. In every way the game was designed to manipulate, it did get me. So I don't know. I guess it didn't get people in the same way, I'm assuming. Though on Twitter, whenever I'm seeing like Neil Druckmann tweet or someone tweet something favorable about the game, it's got more likes than it does responses. So I don't know. I feel like it just might be like more hardcore sections of the internet. I know it's sold very well, like these, like the deep internet people being mad about the game for having women in it or whatever. It doesn't seem to have affected like the silent majority, if you will, that seem to be having fun. They just got to go to Seattle, but I'm over here, headache with headphones, so I had to go to sleep. I'm gonna take that watch. Oh yeah, when you're in the house, she's crying as you idle in the house, and you gotta pick up Joel's old watch, and it's all great. And he's got a bunch of knickknacks from the first game in the thing. Also in Ellie's room, like there's the toy from the first game that he got from either Henry or Sam. I can't remember which was the big one and which was the small one. I haven't felt anything this visceral since the eclipse. Not as visceral as the eclipse, but unbelievable. I'm going to find out. I'm going to kill everyone, last one of them. The energy was palpable when Abby did that. You definitely felt like Ellie. We're going to kill every fucking one of them. This is what I tweeted after Joel had literally died. They actually fucking did it. I understand why everyone was so fucking mad in a good way. I don't fucking believe this. Literally shaking. I was shaking as I tweeted that. That was such a great scene. I don't see how you could think that scene was like bad. I guess they're just too stupid to realize it's a video game and they're like mad that Joel is dead when it was so obvious he was going to like be back in the thing. I don't know. A weed-induced lesbian sex scene with a female protagonist, how far we've come. True, Dina doesn't know Ellie is immune. This is a big thing throughout. She eventually finds out when she goes to take off her gas mask. Another incredibly well-written moment where fucking Ellie's mask breaks, even though she doesn't need a mask because she's immune. And then Dina goes to like take hers off and give it to Ellie to like sacrifice herself to save his life. But Ellie has to like improv and like try to make it known as quickly as possible that she's immune and that don't take your fucking mask off to save me. You'd just be killing yourself. A great little situation there. This happens later with Nora in the basement where she's also breathing and Nora realizes who Ellie is and that she was the immune girl the entire time. It felt good killing Nora, I must say. I was still on the fuck these wolves section at that point. It's also so great when you're with Ellie and Dina, you like think you can kill all the wolves. And you don't realize until you play it from Abby's perspective that there's literally like thousands of wolves like amassed in this stadium and they like literally have an army. And like Ellie actually had no idea what she was getting into and had no chance. Just these incredible recontextualizations are so fucking good. Ah, I think I get it. The player is going to have to kill Joel. I was speculating beforehand. So this jacked other main character isn't Ellie's mum in a flashback. Everybody told me it was. Also, the fact that she's jacked is setting my berserk anxieties here. Nudies on the front of the box. When Owen first woke up Abby and told her to come with him, I was like, oh no, is this going to be a rape scene? I thought that. There was another time where I thought it was going to be a rape scene. When Abby gets captured at the end by like the weird, like the final party at the end, I was like, oh no, they're like holding her down, and I was like, oh no, this is setting off my... Berserk has fucked me up. Whenever I see like a female character in peril, because of Berserk, my mind goes to, oh no, it's going to be another rape scene. Fucking Berserk. Feels a lot more like Uncharted 4 opening than The Last of Us Part 1 opening right now, and that's only for the better. I already talked about that. Ellie still has the toy from Will. I think Will was not his name. It was Henry and Sam. I don't know who I thought Will was. Ellie being cute, that was another thing. Our Asian friend seemed wooden in the trailer, and he's already got a lot of personality. There was actually a joke. The writing is incredible and very subtle. I knew it from the very fucking first meeting. Ellie, we talked about the daughter thing. Joel's characterization immediately is different from the character design. In even the slight tone of voice, his voice was a little different, intentionally, I think. I don't know. We've done enough tweets, I think, just remembering different points. Another thing, how thematically strong it is, I think, shouldn't be understated. Where, like, you see the mini, like, cycle of hatred thing with Ellie and Abby, and then you zoom out, and there's a fucking war going on for the same reason that, like, mirrors it entirely. Where, like, Abby realizes that, like, the revenge is wrong when she's rowing away with Lev after fucking Yara is dead and their mother was dead, and she's rowing away from this fucking massacre that's going on, this warring massacre where everything's on fire and everybody's killing each other, and you gotta kill the one big dude with the fucking axe whose face you cut, like, in half, and you've gotta, like, pull it off, and, like, it's fucking insane. Like, that one sequence, the fucking war sequence on the island, is incredible. Everything about it is fucking, like, perfect. It's fucking perfect. And going through it and seeing, like, this is what the cycle of hatred leads to on a wider scale than, like, the mini version we are focused on in this story between Ellie and Abby. And, like, we don't see how that's resolved. We don't see who wins. It really doesn't matter. They said, like, the wolves have like thousands of people, but the Seraphites only had 100, so you can only assume. But I guess they weren't all going to fight. But like when you originally get onto the island and you look over at the dock and you just see the boat speeding towards the island, and Isaac is in like the front guiding, like not guiding them, yeah, guiding them, not guarding them. And like, what an incredible moment of like fucking war is happening. There's a war in this game, and we've got to manipulate around the situation and kill both of them. That's where Abby has to kill wolves for the first time, I think, where she basically says, fuck it, get this shit away from me. I'm going to meet the Fireflies with Owen and Mel, who she thinks is still alive, but she's fucking got... It's all about Lev. Lev is like her moral compass. He's her Gabby. Not Gabby, he's her Ellie. These fucking names, I swear to God. Where it's like the moral center brings him back down to reality. She's got someone to protect now, just like Joel did with Ellie. It makes her a more moral person, and she'd do anything. And she feels responsible. It's sort of the secret heart of gold stuff we always get into, where like when the going gets tough, she couldn't just let those kids fucking die. She had to go back and save them, even though it did nothing for her, just because she couldn't live with herself if she didn't. I don't know. What else can we talk about? Just let me remember a scene, and I'll talk about why it was fucking spectacular. There's obviously... I just remember the dog stuff, where, like, you realize halfway through that when you were Ellie, you killed the dog you're, like, befriending. And it's, like, literal worse than kick the dog moment. But because it's a recontextualization, they get away with using the we killed the dog trope. Because you killed the dog originally, and you didn't feel bad at all for the dog, because it's just like all those other dogs. And then you realize all those other dogs probably had backstories like this dog, where they were just cute little dogs that were just doing what they were told. But we killed them anyway, because we were trying to kill Gabby. The cycle of hatred leads to killing innocent, nice little dogs. What the fuck? Laptop is going flat. I don't know how this is going to turn into a YouTube video. I feel like we're just ranting about random stuff. the sudden deaths as well, particularly with Manny and Jesse, were perfect. I'm trying to remember what I said at the beginning of this video and what I said before we started recording this video to not try and get them confused. So I'm not repeating myself. I'm only repeating myself a stream rather than the YouTube audience. Just how they play with expectations is so perfect. Like Jesse just getting shot out of nowhere when him and Ellie have this great fucking scene of like, okay, we're gonna leave this behind. We gotta get Tommy and we're gonna get fucking Dina and we're gonna get out of here. She's pregnant. She's fucking sick right now. We've got some responsibility to cash here. Let's leave. And right as they're about to give up, Abby's fucking there and kills Jesse and fucking nearly kills fucking Tommy. And Tommy coming back at the end and being the reason Ellie runs off again is fucking spectacular. I don't even think we talked about why the last scene is great. And how you get fake out endings where Ellie's sitting with JJ on her lap and she's like on the tractor and there's like a wide shot where she's just in the corner with him and you're looking off at the fucking scenery in the background. I was for sure this is the ending. She gave up on revenge and she gets a happy ending. And Naughty Dog knows that if you have a brain, this is what you're also thinking. So they're manipulating you because they hold their they have like a little conversation, little baby talk with the baby. And then it goes silent for a second and they're just sitting there and Ellie's like playing with the kid and sort of like bumping him on her lap. And you're like, oh shit, this is the ending, all right? We actually did get a happy ending. Abby went off with Lev to presumably the Fireflies, and they live happily ever after. And Ellie's on the farm, just like they talked about in the beginning of the game with Dina, raising Jesse's child. It's cute because Jesse sort of lives on through his kid, and it's like, remember Jesse, he was a cool bloke. But then you have to get up, and then you're slowly brought back in, and you realize the game is not fucking finished, and Ellie is not at peace at all with giving up on revenge, and she thinks she has to kill and go and find Abby again. And it's been years at this point. It's been at least a year. Well, it's been at least 9 months, and the baby doesn't look like a newborn. It's sort of like a toddler. So it's probably been like a year and a half since they gave up originally, and fucking Abby beat the shit out of them and told them to never come back here. The fake out death with Dina is so good, just bashing her head into the thing and just like, don't kill Dina too. It was fuck me. Everybody dies in this. Like, everybody gets fucked up. Everybody dies. This people, like, Ellie kills all of our favorite characters from one side. Abby kills all of our favorite characters from the other side. It's just like, it's fucking mess. It has to stop. And it gets you in the thematic mood to get the same message about revenge being bad that you've heard a million times, but will forever be relevant because people still don't get it. But yeah, then there's a fake out ending with Abby from her side of the story, where with Lev, they go to the Firefly place and they try, and they're so hopeless at this point, because you just had the Ellie thing where she has a PTSD flashback when she's trying to get the lambs in the barn, and she ends up hitting the thing and she imagines Joel getting killed. I didn't even talk about the 3 dreams that fucking Abby has, where the first one is just like, I don't remember, but eventually, like, she meets her father and he's alive and well, and you walk through, like, this is more like the novel stuff where it's like, we're finally getting to the point where games are like fucking novels. Just like when people originally said about The Sopranos, where TV shows had finally made it. They could be proper bullshit. They could be real boy bullshit and sit at the big man table. And now TV's never looked back, so hopefully video games never look back narrative-wise. Where, like, there's this metaphorical, like, you walk down the same hall like 5 times in the game, twice as Ellie, you did it once as Joel in the last game, and now you do it 3 times in 3 different dream sequences with Abby, where it's like the first 2 times, like, they're horrible nightmares, and the last time, after she saved Lev and has decided to, like, dedicate herself to protecting this boy, like, she gets to meet her father and have a happy reunion before the dream ends. So it's just like, fucked up, now we've got our life back on track. And the narrative rewards her with a happy little dream sequence. And by the 3rd time, you're like, what the fuck are they doing here? It's a happy time. I guess the first time wasn't a dream sequence, right? It was just the actual flashback to when she found out her father, that Joel had killed her father. But eventually with the Firefly thing, like, it's so hopeless at this point because Ellie just had a PTSD flashback and you thought you were getting a happy ending, but now you're playing as fucking... I thought the game was ending, so you're like waiting for like the last hour and a half of the game to end. And it's so perfect the way Naughty Dog manipulates you into thinking certain things. And then subverting them and giving you more and then giving you the perfect ending at the end. She can't play the song. It's fucking great. there's a scene where they're trying to dial the frequency for the Fireflies. I've started this sentence 7 times now. Finally, we'll get through it. And like they fail the first 3 times, and it's like, oh no, they're never gonna find it. You go into the house, you get to the address that it's supposed to be at, nothing's in there. You find like the backyard thing, you go in a secret door, nothing's in there. Then finally, you move the bookcase, you go down another secret door, and there's actually a hideout there, but it's been abandoned for years. So again, like setting up, oh, we're gonna find the Fireflies, we're gonna get a happy ending for these 2 characters. Fucking disappointment, nothing's there. And then eventually they find a radio and they start dialing the radio. It has 4 fucking frequencies on it. They dial the first 3, they are all fucked up. The 4th one, you think it's fucked up, and actually, happy ending, the Fireflies do still exist. There's like 200 of them around. You got to get to this certain place that they do eventually end up with. You're like, oh, they're getting a happy ending. They just got to go there, and they can have purpose. They can have a drive. They can try and save the world again. And then they fucking leave and they get captured by slavers. And fucking they're made slaves for like the next 3 or 4 months until Ellie eventually shows up at the camp and saves them. And because the whole time, then you switch back to Ellie and Ellie's tracking them and she tracks them down to where the slavers are. And eventually she makes her way into this camp where the slavers are and they're in like a resort and she starts killing them. And the whole time you're like, this game is going to end soon. What's going on? We just got a whole new character design for Ellie like 1.5 years later. And it's just like, oh, we're waiting for it to end. It's going to end at any moment. What if Ellie just dies here? Like, it's so, like, you know it's going to end because they just teased 2 happy endings and didn't give it to you. So you're like, oh no. We're building up to a fucking tragic ending here. And then eventually they pay it off and they do give you an ending that isn't they set you up because now your expectations are like, oh no, we missed out on 2 happy endings. It's going to be the saddest ending in the world. And then it's just sort of like a bittersweet ending where then Ellie goes back home and Dina left. She's like, fuck this bitch. She left me and the son to fucking get her shitty revenge when she has a real family. But Ellie even makes the point, like, she's not happy. She can't sleep. She doesn't eat barely. Ellie is super skinny at this point. It's just very interesting what they do with Ellie's character. Like, there is no answer for Ellie. Like, she's too far gone almost is the message. Even if thematically the message is more revenge is wrong. Even if she let Abby live, she had already gone too far to, like, get her family back and to be forgiven and to live a normal life without the PTSD. Though, the implication is sort of through the final Joel flashback that, like maybe they can work through it. And then the last scene is Ellie walking off into the distance, and maybe she's going back to Jackson, which is presumably where Dina and JJ went, and maybe she'll try. Just like she's now in the position Joel was in originally with her, where she has to like ask for forgiveness, and now she better understands Joel, and like it all ties in perfectly. And then obviously she lets Abby go. And her and Lev, by the end, because now the title screen is different after you finish the game, and they're on the beach at the location of the Fireflies, so they get a happy ending, and Ellie's going to try and get a happy ending. So it's a bittersweet, pretty happy ending there at the end. Ellie is obviously physically scarred. She's lost 2 fingers from this. She's lost her family. She's lost basically any like hope at a normal life she ever had. Because at the beginning, because they do that as well, that's another parallel they have between Ellie and Abby, where at the beginning they both are in like peaceful places, like Jackson for Ellie at the beginning, and then when you're walking through the stadium and you're talking to Manny about the weather girl he fucked last night, and how you let him use the room or whatever, slept on a fucking couch, goddamn prick. And like the peacefulness getting disrupted, and like, oh, we had all these friends and now they're all dead because of each other, because of what we did, because of this vengeful cycle. And it all works in. And then again, you get shown the cycle of vengeance again at the end, because the slavers and the slaves, because Ellie frees the slaves and they start warring, and it's another war scene, and you just ignore it. And I think I talked about this on stream, and I should have kept it for the video, but just talking about how perfect the moment is when Ellie fucking sees Abby for the first time and she's all tied up and she's barely recognizable, and like she just doesn't hate her enough. She's like, she can't feel the hate, and so she cuts her down, and Abby just doesn't look at Ellie. She just walks over to Lev, cuts Lev down, and then goes to walk off and doesn't even like acknowledge Ellie, besides the first time when they first see her and she's still tied up and she goes like, oh, it's you. And she, like, Abby has no hatred left for Ellie. Like, she's moved on. She's got Lev to protect. She's just gone through like 3 months of fucking slavery, and now she's getting crucified. Like, she's suffered enough. She doesn't give a fuck about Ellie or the fact that she killed Owen. Owen's dead. She's come to terms with that. So it's sort of like, again, the descent of Ellie, and like she's become this vengeful idiot that can't learn, and the ascent of fucking Abby as she's sort of learned to forgive and has like someone new to protect. Whereas Ellie sort of did with Dina and the baby, but she ignored it to try and come back and kill Abby. So it's sort of like, you're fucking up there. And then Abby even refuses to fight her, and then Ellie just follows them, like awkwardly, like walking behind him, like, aren't we supposed to fight and hate each other? And she's just like, and then eventually they get to the boat. She has a flashback to like, I remember what you did to Joel, and she tries to fight. And Abby doesn't want to fight, but eventually they do fight, and then Ellie forgives him after remembering the last bit with Joel, and just acknowledging the patheticness of the situation of her nearly bleeding to death because of her stitches because she got stabbed or whatever earlier in that moment. And like, what are we doing here? And just being like frustrated with the moment and how this is not satisfying at all. She just got fucking fingers bitten off. You're gonna leave like Lev alone, and then Lev's gonna hate me and is gonna come back to Jackson and try and kill us again. And it's just like, she just like realizes fuck this shit, and it's like, ugh, what a fucking adventure. I don't know. I think that's about it. I really liked everything about this game. Anything. I can't wait for like I want essays in these fucking comment sections about what is good and bad. I don't know how well I did at explaining this. I'm going to obviously think about this a lot more and then make a scripted video that'll be much better. But these are just sort of the conversations I've had with myself in my head, now verbalized that they earlier were to Twitch chat and now to the YouTube audience here. I think that's it. We'll see what the fuck you think in the comments. I'm interested to see what the criticisms are, because I'm going to hate all of them and probably hate you for having them. So that'll be fun. And I'm sure I will incorporate that and all the negative bullshit into that video, because I like to do community commentaries in my review videos all the time. With that being said, YouTube audience, why don't we get the fuck out of here? Support links in the description below. Thanks.